Let's go. Come on. Aswand, Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. Very, very proud moment for me, seeing that I am about to officially make the announcement publicly. First time I'm publicly making the announcement that yours truly, Aswand Cruickshank, is decreeing and declaring right now, I am no longer watching any porn. No longer watching any adult videos. I am not supporting that industry, not even though, porn is free. I am not supporting it with any time, any likes, any clicks, any attention whatsoever in the porn industry. It has absolutely ripped and turned this motherfucking country up. It's ruining this world. It's one thing when you do something and, you do it maybe recreationally and, you think it's all fun and games, when you realize how much of a fucking mess the porn industry is creating in this world. I mean, all the stuff that's going on in our government, again, I'm going to get to that in a second. All the stuff that's going on in our country right now has been a product of the porn industry, in my opinion. Again, that's something that not very many people, if anyone, is actually talking about, is just understanding how accessible we've made porn to people. And obviously, yes, someone that at one point, I believe, Donald Trump had billions of dollars. Yes, that's not uncommon for him to be fucking some porn star and then trying to pay her off. That's not something that's uncommon. That's something that's very natural. Now, I don't think anyone's actually tried to run for president who's done that, but that's something common. You got money, you got access to porn, you got access to porn stars, you got the money to really just do what you want and then try to pay her off after you've had sex with her. Yes, that happens all the fucking time. That's not a secret in this world, which is sad. And somebody like that it can become our president is again what I mean when I say done watching porn. There's been a couple things that have led up to this declaration. All right, so let me take it back, because it's been a couple. Actually, I've been doing really, really well. It's been months. It's ever since I listened to an audible version of a very good book titled Relationship Goals by Michael Todd, Pastor Michael Todd. It was that pastor, and then there was a pastor named Joshua Broome, who I listened to on a podcast that was shared with me, and he used to be a porn star. And he talked about, he had a very clear plan to take his life, and had it not been for some bank teller just simply asking how he was doing, he would have taken his life. And he was raped. He got in. This is why, these stories. Actually, let me back up and kind of give you a brief overview of the thing that kind of got me thinking like this and making me want to see making me want to declare this and do this publicly for all of my YouTube fans or the people that keep up with all my work, whether it's this or the Move Swiftly podcast. However you're consuming my work, it's accessible a lot of different places, by the way. All right. So, like I said, it was Audible. It was the Audible version of the book titled Relationship Goals by Pastor Michael Todd, in which he started to frame a little bit. He started to plant the seed a little bit I think it was one of the chapters in which he was talking about sex and how the porn industry has made sex so accessible that you're not, what it does, the lackadaisical ways in which you go after things because you have access to porn. It's not what it used to be, because you're training your mind to take the easy road out. It's just like, again, I run a lot. If I was to come out here and only do 2 miles a day or something like that, something that I know would be easy, is the same principle when it comes to watching porn. And he broke it down in a very, very well thought out way and in a very practical way in his book. And I appreciate him for that, because it really did get me thinking about, again, I can't be running around talking about all the stuff I talk about and still even have any looks or anything when it comes to that industry. So, Michael Todd, appreciate your story, appreciate your book. If you ever get a chance to listen to this, all right. So when it comes to Joshua Broome, this was actually I had no idea who he was. It was a podcast that was shared with me. It was shared with me by an individual who, wants to get into the podcasting world, wants to get into the content creation world. And I was telling her about a lot of the stuff I was doing, and, we just clicked, and she just thought of that episode to listen to. And when I listened to the full 2 hours, of it just last week. And it was at that point where I took what Pastor Michael Todd said in his book. I took what was said in his 2-hour-long podcast interview, just to, again, give you a brief overview of it. He spoke on the fact that he was a former basketball player, went on to, I believe he moved to Hollywood, and he wanted to be an actor, and they first gave him, you know, soft roles and things like that, doing stuff that he thought, hey, look, the life I was living, I was already living that life where I'm fucking a bunch of hoes and shit like that. He didn't think just doing one scene was gonna be a big deal. And long story short, he ended up doing gay porn. He ended up getting raped. He ended up, you know, as he says it in his show, he essentially ended up getting raped by 2 guys and started doing gay porn, and the whole thing just completely ruined. Now and then after that, he tried to become a trainer, and that's really what triggered me. Because guy, again, former athlete, got into the fitness industry, and it was at that point in which he met his wife, and you know, they had to deal with a lot, but now he's a pastor doing some incredible things. So again, just like Pastor Michael Todd, Pastor Joshua Broom, appreciate your transparency. I know your story is touching a lot of different people, man. I truly appreciate it. Again, I'm done. I'm not watching anything pornographic at all. No more. I'm done with it, right? So finally, the verdict of our former president, Donald Trump, and everything that's going on with him and Stormy Daniels. Again, I have listened to, I don't even like talking politics. I really don't. I don't like talking politics. I don't like watching news, but when some shit like this happens, I got to address it. I got to make sure I come on and give my thoughts. Your one and only Move Swiftly speaker has to come on and give his perspective on teamwork and give his perspective on things when it comes to this kind of shit, right? I've listened to this girl on multiple interviews. I watch little clips. I go online, look her up, and she says it point blank. She has had sex with this man. All right, this was not something that happened. I'm not defending Donald Trump, don't get me wrong here. He's wrong, and he is very motherfucking guilty. And no, I don't think someone who is under a motherfucker who has been guilty of this shit should be president. No, I don't think he should be at all. I'll just get that out the way now before what I say gets taken out of context. But ultimately, the girl is a porn star, and she had sex with a billionaire. That is what obviously happens, and just as wrong as he is as wrong as she is, and there needs to be, in my opinion, but there's punishment that they both deserve, all right? And what it stems from, and I'm not saying that she's not admitting her punishment or she's owned up to her wrongdoing in the situation. I'm sure she has. I'm sure there's been plenty of times where she's owned the fact that there's certain things that she's done that she wished she could take back, all that kind of stuff, like agreeing to go to dinner with him and all that kind of stuff. But the point of it, the main takeaway, the main thing that I'm going to tell you is at the core of this whole thing, you know, the thing that's about to turn our entire country upside down, the core of this entire fucking process is the porn industry, is how easily accessible and recreational we've made sex, and how we've turned it into something that is meant to do a whole lot of good, meant to create, meant to grow, meant to, you know, build legacies, build generations. That's what sex should be for. It can be arguably the greatest thing to do in the world when it's done the right way, when you have a plan, when you decide, look, this is the work I put in, and when you get what you deserve. But when you turn it into a recreational activity like brushing your teeth or tying your motherfucking shoe, this is the kind of bullshit that ruins the country, ruins things over time. It's almost like taking a drip of water. You have a faucet and you don't turn it off completely. You just take a drip, it drips, and you let it drip for over the span of 6 or 7 years, and all of a sudden it becomes an entire puddle, right? Entire river of problems that you can't even begin to fix. You can only sort of patch up here and there, and that's what the porn industry is doing to our country. And it was and I'll close you out with this, because I know I was gonna get long-winded on this, because this thing has been brewing in me for some time to decree and declare this publicly. But one of the things that Pastor Joshua Broom did mention in his podcast interview is that the porn industry makes more money than the NBA, the NFL. It makes the most money, period. And when he said those things, it made me say, you know, I gotta look at my own shit and say, rarely does anybody actually pay for porn nowadays because it's so accessible. I know just the views, just the looks, just the training your brain to even consume that shit is ultimately leading to the problem and leading to it being okay. And that is the main issue, all right? Main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, makeyourmove.com. That's MAKEYAMOVE.com. one-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. Aswand Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.